Welcome to Rome. This is The Bittersweet Life with Katie Sewell and Tiffany Parks. Hello, this is The Bittersweet Life. I'm Katie Sewell.
I'm Tiffany Parks.
Tiffany in Rome, Katie in Seattle. And today we do our annual look back at our New Year's resolutions that we promised to do last year as we entered 2024. We're going to see if we did them, and then we're going to make promises that we will or will not keep in 2025. As you listen, I hope you also reflect on what kind of resolutions, if any, you want to make this coming year as we kick off the new year in just a couple days. All right, as usual, Tiffany, I have pulled the tape from last year to listen back to what we promised to do and to see if we accomplished those goals or not. So let's start with my first one, which I almost didn't air because it's a repeat resolution from the year prior, but let's just go ahead and listen to it anyway. Here we go. This brings me to my first resolution of the year, is that we are currently trying to do the no television, no video January again.
So, did you succeed, Katie?
I did succeed. Yes. We did another no screen January. And it's funny what you filled the void with.
No screen at all?
Well, I mean, no, not exactly at all. Basically, the intention is no video, no games, nothing that you would sort of fill your time with on your phone, and then no television, no watching TV shows at night. So that's, and you try not to see the TV. Like if you're out in a restaurant and there's a TV in the background, you're trying not to watch it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's not no screens entirely. Our jobs both require screens. So, but yes, it's kind of the no screen entertainment is the idea. And always certain things rise to the surface. And this particular year, 2024, Derek particularly filled a lot of that time learning very esoteric card games. Card games you could play with other people, card games that you could play by yourself. A lot of things that were not solitaire, that you can play alone. They're just totally different games. So he went down the rabbit hole in that direction. I did a lot of reading, and we are going to do this again this year. And so I'm not going to talk about this resolution anymore. This is now becoming a thing. So I'm not going to keep bringing it up every year. Now it seems that we like to challenge ourselves in January to do this. So we've already started preparing for what will we do this year. For Christmas, Derek bought me a cribbage board. We have a brand new game. We're talking about having him read a book aloud to me while I do what? I don't know. Do you think I should take up cross-stitching of something? I'm not sure.
But knitting is wonderful. If someone would read aloud to me while I knit, that would be, that would be kind of top for me. Like I love to knit, but I don't knit anymore because I would rather be reading.
Yeah, well, maybe you could have Claudio read to you. Yeah, you could have Claudio read to you in the January.
I suggested that to him because we have friends who do that. We have a couple who are recently married and they read some mega books to each other. He reads to her and he does all the voices. He happens to be a voiceover actor.
Oh, that helps. Yeah.
Makes him particularly good. Yeah, at reading just in general and also doing the voices. And so they were currently reading The Brothers Karamazov this past year. So I said to Claudio, let's do that. And he was like, no.
Well,
he shot that at. I know. I was really bummed. I thought that would be really fun. You guys should do it.
Well, yeah, Derek is a much better reader than me. So usually he wants to be the one to read. So we'll try it. I'll let you know how it goes. All right, let's listen back to your first resolution of last year. Here you go.
I would like to try to do a no buy month.
Okay, so Tiffany, you wanted to try a no buy month. Did you? And how did it go?
Well, if you listen to this show, you know that I succeeded more or less. I bought myself a pair of sneakers that I needed for our Rome trip. I desperately needed those. And so I did buy those. But other than that, and of course, groceries, bills, necessary things for Aurelio, like his school uniforms and books and stuff like that. But other than that, I did not buy anything in the month of September 2024. And it was great. I really found it to be less of a challenge than I thought it would be. And we talk about this on episode How to Buy Nothing. I can't remember the number, but it's a recent episode. So if you want to hear more about that in detail, you can go back and listen to that episode. But I might do that again. I don't think I'll put it on my resolution list, but I like that as a challenge and I would do it again.
Okay. All right. I like that. And you went for September. I didn't pull this tape, but in the original tape, you said that you were going to do it in February because it was the shortest month.
Yeah.
So good
I
for
didn't
you.
manage to do that. I went to Germany in February, and so that was not possible.
All right. Well, here is my next thing. It's kind of actually a non-resolution prediction, but it's like a prediction about the book that I have been writing. So let's take a listen at my prediction. My thought is that this year, there's no way it won't be done by the end of 2024. That's not a resolution. It just feels like, what am I doing with my time if I can't finish this book by the end of this year?
So this is the one I'm probably most curious to find out if you succeeded at, or if you at least met your expectation about.
I mean, I did not finish it. And I love how confident I am in that quote.
You're like, I have to finish. Like, there's no way I'm not going to finish it.
Well, as I put it, what am I doing with my time if I can't finish this book by the end of the year? No, I think I know what I'm doing with my time. It's this show, for
This
one.
podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's this show. It's this show. And then I had a lot of family travel last year. 2024 ended up being the year of family travel, unexpected family travel in most cases. And those trips, while they were totally worth it, did not do the writing any favors, because huge mega trips often derail the thought process that you're in. And so every time I would come back from one of those, it would take me a good week to get going again. And then something else would come and interrupt. So I do have an excuse, but no, I'm confident, like, it's going to happen. Now I will say I'm not going to say anything about it. Maybe I'll say something about it maybe I'll say something about it at the end of the show, but we'll see. Okay. Let's do your second resolution. Let's take a listen.
I want to travel more.
Okay, so you wanted to travel more. Kind of a big open-ended resolution.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that you accomplished that goal?
I definitely traveled far this year. I was on 3 different continents this year, so I suppose that's got to be pretty good. Thinking back, I can't remember when we made that episode if we had booked our trip to Japan. But yeah, we went to Japan. We spent 2 weeks in Japan and Okinawa. We went to the States, both Arizona and Boston. I went to Germany to visit my friend Maeve, who I've talked about a lot on this show, the opera singer. That was a short but wonderful trip. We went to Umbria in August. So I feel like I traveled quite a bit this year. So I'm happy with that. What I feel like is lacking is the short sort of weekend trips that I feel like we could easily take that we don't end up taking, especially because we have friends in so many European cities that are so close. I feel like we could do that more often. But I feel like that was a success.
Okay, we'll check it off the list. Yeah, those wide ones are always hard to be like, did I do that? But I think you did. Okay.
I think so.
Here's Katie's resolution, number 3. Here we go. Let's take a listen back. My intention is to read all 10 of the New York Times best books of 2023 in 2024.
Did you do it, Katie?
I did. I read all
Nice
10
job.
books. 5 fiction, 5 nonfiction. Let me tell you, most of them were absolute tomes. They were massive books.
I bet.
They took up quite a bit of my reading year this year, particularly the nonfiction ones. They were all extremely well written, but they were a lot of subjects that I wouldn't normally be gravitating toward. So I've now read and am informed about a lot of things I wasn't planning on ever reading about or being informed about. So I guess that's a good thing. Fiction-wise, I thought the fiction choices were pretty great, with a few exceptions. I don't know if we want to throw anyone under the bus on this one, but for me, a couple of them I didn't love. But overall, it was a really good experience. I'm glad I did it. And I was thinking, like, should I do that again this year? But I've decided not to. It was a worthwhile experiment, though. everything in the list was extremely well executed. And sometimes when you're looking for books to read, you're casting about, hoping for good writing. Sometimes you find it, sometimes you don't. I did find that list directed you toward really great writing. So that was good. It was good. But yeah, it was a big commitment.
Cool.
I didn't finish reading all of them until I entered into December. I was still reading the last fiction book when I came into December. And granted, I mixed other books in there along the way.
Wow.
It wasn't like I was just reading those, but they did last me all year long.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's listen to your next one. All right, this is your third resolution. Let's take a listen.
I really want to be more productive with my time. My plan is to create some kind of time blocking system where I put it into my calendar, structuring my day almost as if I were in an office.
Okay, so how did the time blocking system institution go?
Well, I wouldn't call this a total failure because I did create a time blocking system. I did do that. Now, whether or not I actually followed it is another question.
Right.
But I came up with a sort of system in which I had, separate blocks during the day when I had open time to work. I have a very hard time sticking to. It's hard. I mean, it's kind of the kind of thing that you gotta. I'm still working on it. I'm still working on it. You can kind of make because I still can't decide which is the right way to do it, which is the right way to go about it. Because I did try sort of two different ways and neither of them really work. I don't know if it was me not being disciplined enough, but first I tried sort of open blocks where I'd be like, okay, work block number 1, and then I'll see what I need to do that day. And at the beginning of the day or the night before, when I know what I need to do, I'll fill in that work block and be like, okay, I'm gonna work for an hour and a half on this and then 45 minutes on that. And then of course I have to go pick up Aurelio or make him lunch, yada yada. And then I'll have another maybe hour later. I felt like that was maybe too loosey-goosey for me, and I ended up just doing whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, okay, I need more specific. And so I would write out, okay, I'm going to work for half an hour on this, like the week before, or just put it in there, put it in my schedule. And that didn't work either, because it was like some days I have more work to do on the podcast and less work to do on, I don't know, a tour that I'm organizing, or vice versa. Or my work is so varied and can be sporadic that I don't always have to work on the same things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to say that's more of a failure than a success. I did attempt to do it. I made a really good effort, but I haven't figured it out yet. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah, you found that perhaps what you've come up with so far doesn't really work for you, is what you've learned. Yeah, which is a valuable lesson, I think. All right, jumping ahead. This is my final resolution. If you've listened to this show for years, and if you're new, I should tell you, I always try to do one resolution that can be done in a day. It's actually my favorite resolutions. I'm not a real ambitious resolution maker like Tiffany is. I much prefer resolutions that are like, this is a thing I'm going to do this year, and if I can, I get it done in one day, and that is my favorite thing. So here is my resolution of what I was going to get done in a day. My get it done in a day is that I'm going to try to walk into a small music venue, just pick somebody's name off whatever their concert calendar is, or just notice it while I'm walking by. Don't need to know a single thing about who this person is and what they're doing, and just buy a ticket and go see what's up.
Okay. So, did you do that, Katie?
I did, and I accomplished it in January. I do have a clip of the music I walked into. Do you want to hear a slight example of what I started to think of as discordant jazz in my head?
Oh, geez. Discordant. All right. Make it short.
All right. Here's a sample of what I found when I didn't plan what I was going to go see. So there you go. It was actually a blast of a night because it's just so unexpected and you just don't know what you're in for. But like I said, calling it discordant jazz, I watched this show and the whole time I was thinking, I mean, and this is just one example. It gets weirder if you listen further in the recording. I was sitting there thinking, I can't tell if this is jazz that's really bad or if it's so good that I don't really understand what it is they're doing. And so I sent it to my cousin, who is a jazz organ player. And he said, well, and his review was like, well, I mean, they're definitely moving the time around on purpose. And then he would just make comments about the individual players. The drummer really knows what he's doing. And then he'd say, oh, and this person really knows. His overall review was that he really liked it. So maybe they were so good I didn't quite get it. That's definitely possible. But what I really loved about
That
this
definitely happens.
yeah, what I really loved about this resolution was I decided to keep it going and try to hit some unplanned music thing every single month through the entire year.
Wow.
And I did it. I missed 1 month. And so I've put together a little montage that will play as the show ends. Every time I went to something, I recorded a little bit of what it was that I heard. So if you listen through the end of the show, you'll hear a montage of all the different types of music that I stumbled my way into over the course of this year. It ended up being a really fun resolution.
Very cool.
Yeah. And it reminded
That's
me
very cool.
to seek out music more often.
Nice.
All right, here is your final resolution. Taking a page from your friend Katie, trying to do a resolution that you could get done in a day. Here's what you said that you would do. You were figuring out, to be fair, you were figuring it out live on the show. So, so here we go.
Maybe a cuisine, maybe like an ethnic cuisine. I could go and eat at a Ethiopian restaurant or something. I don't think I've ever had Ethiopian food.
So did you have Ethiopian cuisine during 2024?
No. But
I don't consider this resolution totally failed. Because the very first thing that I said was I want to try a new cuisine. And I did try a new cuisine, and that was authentic Japanese cuisine.
Oh.
And I've eaten at Japanese restaurants in Italy, in the United States. The stuff that's going on over there seems to me quite different. And one particular night, we had a meal that was part of the price of the place we were staying. One night in Kyoto, we stayed in a ryokan, which is like a traditional Japanese hotel with the tatami and the futons on the floor, and very, very, very traditional. And at this particular ryokan, they had dinner was included in the price of the room. So we went, and it was, I mean, so I was so proud of myself because I'm not a very adventurous eater. And, there's lots of things that I don't really want to try or, kind of gross me out or whatever. I'm definitely much, much better than I was as a young person. As a young person, I ate nothing, which is a really take gets from me.
Yay.
But I made, if you've ever, had traditional Japanese food, it comes served in like, tiny little bowls. Like there's like 12 different things, maybe more on, your spread, and then tiny little bowls and tiny little plates. And I made sure that I tried some of every single thing.
Wow.
Yeah. And there was some fruits and or vegetables, I'm not sure, that I had never seen before, had no idea. I'm like, I'm going to put this in my mouth, and I have zero idea of what taste is going to happen. And some of the stuff was amazing. Some was not so great. But what I'm really proud of is I ate sashimi, which for sushi lovers might be like, that's the best thing in the world. But for me, eating a piece of raw fish with nothing on it is, I mean, it's a challenge.
It's one of the layers of hell. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I did it. I think I ate all of the sashimi. It wasn't a ton, but maybe like 4 or 5 pieces. It was a real challenge. And then breakfast was also included in this. And the breakfast was a traditional Japanese breakfast, which you get things like a bowl of what looks like a kind of clear broth with very, very, very thin pasta in it. Noodles, I guess I should say, and an almost completely raw egg. Like an egg that has been poached for 10 seconds
Yeah.
or something. And so I had that and all the other very savory things for breakfast that, we're not often used to. But yeah, I had everything and I was very proud of myself. I was very proud of myself. At one point during the dinner, they brought a fish. I took a picture of it. I'll try to remember to post it. They brought a fish that was, I'm not sure how they cooked it, but it was a whole fish. It was small, but it was the whole thing, head, eyes, tail, fins, everything. And I was like, I don't know how to get into this fish. Like, I don't know how to cut it. It was like, I have no knife. How do I debone it? Everything is in there. It hasn't been gutted. It hasn't been deboned. She's like, oh, it's very soft. Just use your chopsticks and you'll be able to get it open. And she was right. I was able to tear the skin very easily with the chopsticks. And I just picked out the meat and it was exquisite. It was so good. And if you're wondering what the name of the fish was, I don't remember the Japanese name, but I did look at it in the translator and it just said sweet fish. So there you go.
So we don't know. But it was
I don't know, but it was so good.
It was a very sweet fish.
Good.
Yeah. That's lovely. Well, I'm going to count that one as a yes, I feel, because the intention of the spirit of it was there for sure,
Yes.
Katie popping in real quick. The holidays are about giving to those you love. And if you love this show, I have a request for you. A Christmas/holiday request. With the turn of the year, the Bittersweet Life always gets walloped with the biggest bills of the year. The annual bills. We're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars of things that come due annually. We would love your help tackling these bills as we enter 2025. If you love this show and you want to give us a Christmas present, please join us on Patreon at patreon.com/The Bittersweet Life Podcast, or give us a one-time donation through PayPal. You can find links in our show notes. You can also find it at thebittersweetlife.net. And one thing that we really, really, really need in the new year is a traveling microphone. Whenever I travel abroad, whenever we record Rome episodes together in person, I am using a shotgun microphone. That shotgun microphone now is well over 10 years. I've had it since before this show was even born, and it is sounding pretty rough, which means it's got to be replaced if you really want to hear what Rome sounds like. I could really use donations from those of you who love this show, who appreciate it, who want to give back, to pitch in and help me buy that microphone. Again, like I said, one-time donations at paypal.com or through a monthly sponsorship at patreon.com/The Bittersweet Life Podcast. Those donations have kept this show going for 10 years, and your donations are what will keep it going moving forward. We are absolutely so very grateful to you. And if you don't have the means to donate or chip in any way right now, especially around the holidays, tell a friend about us. Help spread the word. We need to keep this audience growing to also keep the show going. So happy holidays. Thank you so much for considering us in your holiday gift giving. We appreciate you so much, and we hope that this show brings a lot of joy and entertainment into your life. Back to the show. All right, well, now we come to the final portion of our show where we promise things for the new year. I have to say that
we resolve.
Okay, we resolve.
They're not promises. They're resolutions. We're going to do our best.
We're going to do our best. And I have to say that this year, I don't really have that many. And one, Derek said, was foolhardy, and I shouldn't say it on the show.
Oh, that's the one you gotta say.
I mean, it's pretty pompous, but okay.
I want to hear it.
Do you want to share one first?
Yeah, I'll share first because I actually have quite a few this year.
Okay.
But I will say this caveat. My new strategy for New Year's resolutions is to start them well before the new year and start getting into a habit before the new year starts.
Smart.
Yeah, because January 1st is no day for new beginnings. It really isn't.
Very, very true.
So one of mine is something that I've already begun. and that is piano lessons
Yes.
and practicing the piano.
Nice. And this has been life altering so far. You just started a month ago or so.
Yeah, about a month and a half, probably, maybe closer to 2 now. I only take lessons every other week. I try to practice every day. And I don't know that I would call it life altering, but it's definitely already bringing a lot of joy to my life and a lot of challenge. It's so hard. It is so hard. And it's so much harder than it looks. The hard stuff looks hard, but even the easy stuff, the stuff that looks easy is also hard for beginners. And I'm just thinking about how many different things you have to be able to do at the same time when you play the piano. Not just two different things with two different hands, but you've got the bass clef on the left hand and the treble clef on the right hand. So you're having to be able to look at that note on the top staff and know that that's a do, where the same thing on the bottom staff is a mi. And you keep that separate from in your mind. You have to be able to play loud on your right hand while you're playing soft on your left hand, or you have to be able to do legato or connected notes on your one hand while doing staccato or disconnected notes on the other hand. Not to mention just reading the notes themselves as they the rhythm as well. You're trying to it's so many, it's like juggling. It's really like juggling. And when I do it, I just feel like can feel the gears of my brain turning. It's unlike anything I think I've ever done.
I love that. So if this is a resolution for the coming year, what would it take to succeed in it? That you just keep going through the rest of the year?
I just keep going. I keep going. I practice regularly, which I would ideally every day, but let's say 5 days a week plus my lesson day. So, give myself one free day a week if I'm just totally slammed, and keep up with my lessons every other week.
Okay, I like it. That's a good one. That's a good one. All right. I have 2 that can be done in a day this year.
Oh.
Okay. If you've listened to the show for a long time, you know that sometimes we dig out my lifetime goals or dreams that I wrote in 1994. Some of which on the list I have checked off as if I've already accomplished them, including have abs of steel, which I no longer have, but I did apparently think I did at one time. But I always like to look at the list and see, like, is there anything else on here that I would really like to do? And number 1 on the list, number 1, without a check mark next to it, it is the first thing I wrote down when this was asked of me: learn archery. So the thing I'm going to do in the day is I'm going to take an archery class.
That's wonderful.
And I guess if I really like it, maybe I'll actually learn it more.
That sounds awesome. I love doing that. Okay. Every time I've had a chance to do it, I just love it. I just love how it feels.
Yes. I've only tried it once, and I was an 8th grader at camp, the only time I ever went to camp. So we'll see. That's my get it done in a day resolution for 2025. Okay, give me another one of yours.
This is something else. I don't even know if I want to say this because this has kind of already become a pretty steady habit in my life. I just want to make sure that I don't stop doing it. And I would like to do it even on days when I feel like I'm too busy to do it, or on days when it's a weekend, like it's a Sunday. I want to have, take it easy. It totally changes my whole day. It makes me feel so much better. It puts me in a better mood. And that is taking a very brisk, long walk first thing in the morning.
Okay. I like it.
I've been doing that more days than not for at least the last 6 months. I think that more than the piano playing, that is life changing. Getting into the habit of getting physical movement every morning, getting sunlight in your eyes every morning, fresh air in your lungs every morning. It's so good in so many different levels. So I don't know that that's a resolution. It's something that I want to make sure I keep doing.
Okay.
So I'm kind of being real easy on myself this year.
Yeah.
Since I'm giving myself resolutions that I already do.
I really appreciate that. Okay. I'm going to say, for me, I am going to finish this novel this year.
Yay!
I would like to think
foolhardy.
I would like to think I will have it mostly done by the end of February or March of this year. But I am going to say
Wow.
this is the year. 2024, we thought it was the year. It wasn't. 2025 is the year this novel will be done and will be out searching for an agent. And God willing, wouldn't it be amazing if it also sold this year? That's a little too ambitious. But I am going to get it done this year. No question. No question about it.
I think that's great. I think you should I believe in putting things out there and making bold statements. I
Why
think it
not?
makes you more likely to do it.
All right, it's going to happen. We're doing it. It's enough. Let's go. That's my biggie for this year.
Okay.
All right. I have two more. One's the foolhardy one and another
Oh, I thought that was the foolhardy one.
No. No. But so go ahead. What do you have another one?
I do have a few more. This one I'm definitely going to do.
Okay.
I'm super excited about it. I've been thinking and scheming about it for the last couple months, and it has to do with reading. And I like to set myself a book goal, a reading goal for the year. And I usually, at least the past couple years, have met my goal. But I want to do it a little bit differently this year. So usually what my goal is to read 50 or 52 books in a year. That was the goal for this year. And I'm probably going to finish the year with 56.
Okay.
So I like doing that. But what happens is when you have a kind of goal with that big of a number, you tend to not pick the big books off your shelf.
True.
I've definitely not picked up books because I'm like, there's no way this is going to put me way behind on my reading goal. So my goal this year is I'm going to read 12 books, one book per month. And they're all books that I already own in collector's editions because I'm trying to, what I really want to do, and this is a much longer term goal, but I really want to read every single collector's book that I have.
Like it?
That, yeah. And so these are, if you want, I can read them off real quick because I've picked the 12 books.
Yeah, let's hear it.
You want to hear them?
Do you already have it mapped out by month as well? Like January,
No.
this one.
No, I'm not going to do that because I might not feel like reading a certain book in a certain month. So David Copperfield. Do I need to say who these are by? I think everyone knows David
If you
Copperfield
want,
is
go
by
for
Charles
it.
Dickens. The Mayor of Casterbridge by Thomas Hardy. Orlando by Virginia Woolf. Now that's not a long book, but Orlando is a book that has kind of daunted me and it seems like it's hard to read. So not all of these are long, but I think they're either long or they're challenging or they're both. So Orlando is not particularly long. The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. Middlemarch by George Eliot. A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man by James Joyce. I have a hard time with Joyce. That's not a particularly long book, but I have a hard time with Joyce, so that's a big challenge for me. Swan's Way by Marcel Proust. Now, this is the first volume of Remembrance of Things Past. So it's just the first volume, though. It's still really long.
Okay.
The Portrait of a Lady. Henry James is another author that I find very challenging. I find it very hard to get through his work, so I might need a month and a half for that one. The Longest Journey by E.M. Forster. I've read every other novel by E.M. Forster. That's the only one I have left, and it's the longest, and it's like the most depressing.
Great.
So, and it's like the least popular. But I really want to read all of his books.
Okay.
I want to have the entire works of E.M. Forster at least once read by me. Life and Fate by Vasily Grossman. The Three Musketeers by Alexander Dumas. And Walden, Life in the Woods by Henry David Thoreau.
Okay. Wow. Ambitious.
That's my list. Yeah.
I mean, Middlemarch could take the average person like half a year, so that'll be interesting to see. Okay. This is one I'm not sure I actually want to do. This is another one, and you can debate it with me. This is another one of those get it done in a day. And I'm going to make an admission here that most people don't know about me.
Ooh.
And my mother's like, oh no. I have a belly button ring. Did you know that? Did you know I
knew
have one?
you had one at one time. I didn't realize that you still sported it.
Okay. Yes. I got it at age 16.
Yes, I think I remember when you got it.
The ring that's in there is still the one that was in there when I got it at 16. So classic, okay? Classic style, a super kind of 1990s style. I really like it. Okay. I still think it looks great. It taps into a great memory of getting it. It taps into very much of the young person that I was becoming and trying to be. Of course, doing something like that, I mean, people probably feel the same way about tattoos when you get them as a young person. It is a self-expression when you're sort of trying to come into your own. And it was very much a thing that my mother did not want me to do. And eventually, I don't know if I convinced her to allow it, but you couldn't get it underage. Like you had to be 18 to get a piercing back then. And finally, after much threatening that I was going to just do it myself if it wasn't allowed, my father said, well, I'll go. And so he and I went together and had it done. Anyway, so now it's been decades and decades of having this same thing. I am considering taking it out, and I'll tell you why. Because it seems to be contributing to ruining my clothing. There is something about it where because it rubs on the same part of your shirt all the time, and it kind of is like right where your zipper on your pants also rubs, it makes these little holes in the bottom of my shirts. And, and eventually like the holes multiply, and so then you end up having to get new clothes. And so you're like, well, how many shirts over how many decades am I going to destroy with this thing? Now, I have done research online and found that people who do not have a belly button ring also get these little holes in their shirts. So that it's possible that the belly button ring is not even the thing that's causing it, right? It could be something else entirely. But for me, I think it's like the top contender of what is causing these little holes. So I am thinking about, as a resolution that I can get done in a day, taking it out. But it is also a little bit of I don't know. I would love people to weigh in. It's a letting go of something that I'm not sure I totally want to let go of either. Like almost like it symbolizes so many things now that it seems like a bigger deal to take it out than just like, it's ruining my shirts, let's get rid of it. It feels like a bigger decision and one that I'm still sort of mulling over. There was a period of time where the piercings in my ears were also very 1990s. Like I used to be able to identify other people who were my same generation by the pattern of the piercings of their ears, which was basically 3 piercings on the left ear. Some of you are like, oh yeah, I have this. 3 piercings on the left ear, 1 on the right down below, 1 on the right up above. I never finished the pattern, so I never had the 1 on the right up above, but I did have the 3 in the left and the 1 in the right. And eventually I was thought, as I became like a professional and I think the program director of a massive performance venue here in Seattle, I was thought to myself, maybe it's time to just even things out and only have 2 earrings rather than 3 and 1. And so I stopped wearing the ones in the upper ear, the extra 2 on the left side. That seemed like a lesser decision than this one is, even though hardly anyone in my life knows that I have it because nobody ever sees it, It's not like, you just walk around and everyone's like, hey, check it out, belly button ring, Now you all know.
You're not wearing little
Yeah, I'm not wearing tons of cut off shirts these days now. So yeah, it somehow feels like a bigger decision, even though it's a one that fewer people would know about. Yeah. Anyway, so that's on the list. We'll see if I do it. Resolution. Okay. Take the belly button ring out.
All right. I'm going to give you one tiny nugget of free advice to everyone listening, actually.
Okay.
Which kind of has to do with this and kind of doesn't. When you do your laundry, zip up all the zippers of everything that's going in and button all the buttons. When I started doing that, I found that my clothes ripped less.
That's good.
The open zippers can catch on delicate clothes and can cause them to rip. Now, they're probably not doing it all in the same spot, so it's probably not just that. But just as an aside, in case your clothes are ripping and you wonder why.
It's a good advice. Do you have any thoughts you want to offer as I weigh this decision in 2025?
I think you should do it.
Why?
I just think those kinds of things are, I'm not a tattoo person, so I can't imagine having a tattoo for my whole life. I just can't. So I guess with a tattoo, it's different. But with a piercing, I kind of feel like those things have like their era, and it seems like you've gotten to the end of that era. And that's not, I could understand why you feel like you're letting go of something, but just think of it as moving to a new era.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Okay, do you have another one you want to give us before we're out of time?
Okay, I have one, but again, like you, I'm not sure I want to do it. I'm not sure I can cut it.
Okay, let's hear it.
I would like to at least try, and I mean, if it goes well, it would I would like it to be something that I do regularly. I would like to try to have like a no phone Sunday, but like not just once, every Sunday.
Uh-huh. This is funny
Not
because I didn't pull the tape, but you alluded to this last year.
did I?
But
Did
you
I? I know
never,
I talked about it in the past, but I wasn't sure when, if it was last year or the year before.
yes, but you didn't commit to it. And so I didn't
Yeah,
pull
well,
the tape. And so
yeah,
here we
I
are
didn't do
again.
it.
You're kind of not
Here I
committing to
am.
it again. It's like I'm
I
kind of not
know.
committing to taking it out. I might, but I might not.
Yeah, it's hard. I gotta say, and this wasn't a resolution this year, I don't think, but I think it maybe was last, like the year before, toning down the cell phone use. I have to say, I've made progress, and I'm super excited about that. But I want to continue because I think I can. There's more to be done, more work to be done on that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I feel like it can take away so much from. But it's such a challenge. It's not even like, oh, I really want to look at Instagram or I really want to check my email, but it's more like I really want to be able to take a picture.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the hard part. It's all there. It does everything. It does
yeah,
everything.
it does too much. It does too much. So
All right.
maybe I won't commit to that yet. Maybe I'll say I'll do it once. I'll do it at least once. I
Okay.
won't say every Sunday because that's too hard to
Too
say.
big. Too big.
But I'll do it at least once. So that's my one to do in a day.
Love it.
I will do a day without using my phone at all.
Should I say my super foolhardy one or not? I probably have already promised to
Yeah.
do enough.
Well, I did 4, so you should do 4.
Okay. I don't know how someone can resolve to do this, but so it's no secret if you're a fan of this show that one of the movies that I loved the most when I was a young person was the movie Last of the Mohicans. Loved, loved, loved that movie. And another thing I love about that movie is its soundtrack. I love its soundtrack. If you've never heard it before, just go listen to it today. You can find it now anywhere. It's very orchestral, it's very beautiful. I would love to see an actual symphony play the Last of Mohican soundtrack, or at least part of it, at least a few songs from it. Now, I did do some research. This occasionally happens in the world. It happened in Wales a couple of years ago, where they played part of the Last of the Mohican soundtrack at a symphony. Here's the thing that I want to have happen. Maybe I'm just putting it out there. Number one, I either want to find some symphony that's playing it and go to watch it, or I want to convince a symphony to play part of it or all of it.
That sounds challenging.
I don't have a lot of symphony connections. As Derek said, this sounds like a massive waste of time, but I feel like I kind of want to see if I can convince a symphony to do this. So that's my foolhardy.
I suggest you start with symphonies that play film music.
Right.
I don't know about the States, but here in Italy, there's actually an orchestra called something like the Italian Film Orchestra or something. And they play, not only do they probably play the actual music that gets recorded to be put in the actual films, but they also play concerts of film music, oftentimes with the film being broadcast at the same time. I know they do this in the States, and I've gone several times here in Italy. So I would suggest maybe start there and maybe write to one of those orchestras that must exist in the States and be like, what, do you have this on your program? Are you considering doing, something like that?
I mean, the one thing that's against me is that one, it's not like The Godfather or something like that. It's not some massive movie where it's like the music from Star Wars or something.
Star Wars. It's a Star Wars or the Indiana Jones, a Harry Potter.
Yes.
All the John Williams stuff or the Hans Zimmer stuff.
Yep. It doesn't have a
Gladiator.
tie to the Pacific Northwest. Like I did last year get to see, my friend Joel took me to see them playing the music from Twin Peaks, the TV show, which is great music. And of course, it's also set here, which makes sense for a Seattle symphony to do it. But Last of the Mohicans came out in 1992, so a really long time ago. And it's also set, it was also filmed, I should say, it is set also on the East Coast. So, I mean, it makes it a little harder, but it's a great soundtrack. And I think it's universally liked for its soundtrack. So here's hoping.
You never know. You never know. Kate.
All right. An interesting year of resolutions. Please do send us a note. Tell us what your resolutions are. If you want to weigh in on the big belly button debate, please do. You can always send us an email, bittersweetlifepodcast@gmail.com. Here's another thing I would suggest that you resolve to do. Come to Rome with Tiffany and I this coming October, on October 5th to the 11th, 2025. It is the Jubilee year. Rome is at its most spiffy. If you follow anyone on social media who lives in Rome, who talks about Rome on a regular basis, they're all going nuts right now about all these different things being opened up. Every day I see people going on and on and on about how beautiful and spiffy the city looks right now. This is the year to go, perhaps. And if you resolve to go, then maybe this will be the year. If you resolve to go, this could be the year. As you said, resolutions are not promises, but they are intentions. Tiffany put together a beautiful page on our website, thebittersweetlife.net, that tells you about the trip, all that's included in it, and you can always send us an email about that as well. We're only offering 8 rooms this year, so it's going to be a very small tour, very limited space, so check out thebittersweetlife.net and read all about it, or send us an email, bittersweetlifepodcast@gmail.com. And boy, wouldn't it be a good 2025 if you joined us in Rome when it's at its most spiffy. I mean,
yeah, it truly is beautiful. We were walking through Piazza Navona yesterday, and Claudio was like, look, the fountain basin is pink. The marble is pink. I was like, I never noticed that the marble of that basin was pink. And he's like, yeah, because it was gray up until this month. Yeah, all of the fountains in Piazza Navona are just so incredibly beautiful right now. Yeah, it's going to be a magical time to be here.
I can't wait to get there myself. bittersweetlifepodcast@gmail.com or thebittersweetlife.net. All right, we'll leave it there. Happy 2025. Hope it's a good kickoff wherever you are in the world. And we'll leave it there. And until next time, this is The Bittersweet Life. I'm Katie Sewell.
I'm Tiffany Parks.
We'll see you in 2025. Bye.
Bye.